Again, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the LinkedIn 101 workshop. So delighted to see you all here this morning. My name is Sarah O, and I'm an advisor at the USC Career Center. And we also have in this room a very special guest from LinkedIn who will be sharing their knowledge and expertise on how to effectively navigate and use the world's largest networking platform. Our first speaker is Ryan Zervakos. Ryan is a Southern California native and attended USC with a Navy scholarship as part of the NROTC program. After he graduated with a business degree, he was commissioned in the US Navy's flight program, and he settled back in Southern California in 2009, working in the e-learning industry. He started working at LinkedIn 7 years ago, which fit perfectly with his passion for learning and allows him to live out the LinkedIn ethos, dream big, have fun, and get stuff done. Now, working specifically with California colleges and universities, it is Ryan's mission to make sure every student knows how and why to use LinkedIn to create their professional brand. So thank you, Ryan, for joining us today. And we also have another speaker, Evelyn. She will be joining shortly. And Evelyn was a business administration major at USC Marshall and graduated in December of 2021. She has been at LinkedIn for just over a year now as part of the business leadership program, which has allowed her to experience multiple roles on multiple teams. And currently, Evelyn is a project manager on LinkedIn's global programs go-to-market enablement team, and she helps build cross-functional teams such as project and sales ops with sales to empower sellers with the knowledge and tools they need to be successful. So let's all give a warm virtual welcome to both of our speakers. And now I will pass the mic to Ryan.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Sorry, everybody, we're starting a few minutes late. These things happen in virtual land. So I'm here, and hopefully we can get Evelyn to join as well, because I know you'll want to hear from her. I want to make this as interactive as possible with such a large group. So please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them on the fly. Again, we really want to make this about you all. So what we're going to cover today is our two topics, basically. The first thing is really why you should be on LinkedIn. And the reason that I start with this is because you all are strapped for time. I get it. You're like super, super busy. I work for LinkedIn, so of course I'm going to be telling you to be on LinkedIn, right? I'm super biased. So what I want to do, and what I'm going to do, is I'm going to give you information that you may not know as to why LinkedIn is the most powerful platform for your professional platform out there for you, and why you should be taking advantage of this. The second thing we're going to cover, and we're going to spend a good amount of time covering, we're going to really get into the weeds today, is your LinkedIn profile. And so your LinkedIn profile, from my perspective, and again, I've been with LinkedIn about 7 years, and so my role is to work with colleges and universities specifically. So I work specifically with you all. You are my client. Stanford, all the UCs and CSUs. So I get to meet a lot of students, and I've found out through the years that most people in general are not using LinkedIn the right way. And so when it comes to you all, it's really important for you to kind of take a look at your LinkedIn profile and really rethink it, in my opinion. So I want to give you some examples of that. And Evelyn, if we can get her to join, she'll be assisting me with that and kind of going in from her perspective as well. We really wanted to give you a student's perspective or a recent graduate's perspective as well. So let's start with why you should be on LinkedIn. And so what I want to do here is in the Q&A, do we have a chat feature, or do we have a Q&A feature only? We got a chat feature. Okay. So in the chat feature, I'm going to ask a question here, and I just love for you all to drop in the chat what you think the answer is. It's just a guessing game here. So guessing game. How do you think LinkedIn earns its revenue? What do you think our largest revenue source is? Let me just ask you that. Like, how do you think LinkedIn makes money? So go ahead and drop it in the chat and let me know what you think. If anybody wants to dare to answer the question. Does anybody answer the question? There are a lot of people in here. Nobody's answering the question. Oh, there we go. Premium. Subscriptions, premium. The chat is disabled. Okay, chat's disabled. Thank you for everybody for going on Q&A. Ads. Chat's disabled. The network. Subscriptions. Ads. Memberships. You all are answering the most common answers. So I love it. So premium, just to let you know, today I am not going to be schlepping premium. Premium is a business line of ours. It's one of our smallest business lines. We have 875 million members. Only 3% of those members pay for premium. So you do not need to pay for premium. You're hearing it here from me. Do not pay for premium. I just don't think it's worth it. Coming from the director, the VP of that organization, she said that premium is designed for people with at least 5 years of work experience. So that is not our biggest business line. The marketing solution, Sophie, somebody knows our product line. Marketing solutions is a really good guess. It is one of our largest. It's probably going to become our largest here pretty soon, but it is not our largest just yet. Our largest division is our talent division. Our talent, Suhas, thank you for saying LinkedIn Learning. That is the product I work on and I sell. You all have access to it on campus, so I really feel near and dear to me. LinkedIn Learning is part of our talent solution, but it's not our largest one. So it's our talent product, and specifically, it's our recruiter tool. And so most people don't understand how LinkedIn generates revenue. Like, what is our value proposition? And our value proposition really is to businesses and companies. We provide them access to you. So what we do is we charge them to get access to a tool that allows them to do a very, very granular search of you, like for you, and to find you. That's where LinkedIn makes our money, makes most of our money. That is our largest product line. So that is a cool stat. Like, that's good to know. But what if our product line, but what if we're only making $1 million a year? Like, that doesn't make an impact for you all, right? So the second question I have for you all is, what do you think our market share is of Fortune 500 companies? Like, what percentage of Fortune 500 companies are paying LinkedIn to find you? What do you think that is? And you could go ahead and drop it in Q&A since chat's disabled. What do you think it is? Oh, Gabriel, that is a really good guess. Anybody else want to guess? All of them, Yash. You all are on the ball, man. I like it. So it used to be 100%. It is now 97%. It's 97% of all Fortune 500 companies pay LinkedIn to find you. Now, I want to kind of just think about that for 1 second for you all, right? Really for everybody in the marketplace, but for you all. How many companies out there do you think have a 97% market share of really anything, right? Or the top 500 companies? We're one of the few. And what that means is that, the probability of somebody looking at your profile is pretty high. Let's dive deeper into the numbers. Over 90% of corporate recruiters are using LinkedIn one way or another. 90%. I have another question for you all. What percentage of working Californians do you think have a LinkedIn profile today? What do you think the percentage is? Around what percentage? Anybody want to guess? 95. Amelie, very good guess. It's just a little bit under that. It's between 90 and 95%. So the reason I bring up these statistics, right, is because the fact of the matter is that in today's day and age, right, 2023 and beyond, the probability that a recruiter, a hiring manager, everybody that's in the interview process, right, is going to look at your LinkedIn profile before you get ever interviewed is pretty much so 100%. I'm falling off my chair. Sorry about that. The hazards of working at home is when you start to fall off your chair. It's a bad day. Just kidding. So it's very highly likely that you're going to get somebody's going to find you on LinkedIn or search you up on LinkedIn. So the last question I have for you is, what is the most popular first interview question? The most popular first interview question is what? What do you think? Does anybody know? Anybody know? Drum roll, please. Anybody typing it in Q&A? Tell me about yourself. Thank you. Thank you. How do you know about us is way up there on the list, but you're right, Ray. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. You all are exactly right. The 5-year plan is almost always a question as well. But the first question people ask is, tell me about yourself. And why is that? Let's think about how people find jobs and how we used to find jobs and what the process is, right? everybody knows about the resume. But the resume is really a tool. It's really a tool used to weed people out. It's used to be able to figure out, okay, does Vanessa have the right qualifications? If yes, let's put her on this pile. If no, let's put her on this pile, right? That's really what a resume is for. A resume doesn't tell the hiring manager anything really truly about you. It doesn't give them an opportunity to get to know who you are as a person, what you bring to the table as a person, where you want to go in your life. Like, what do you like to do outside of work? Are you going to be fun to work with? Or are you not going to be fun to work with, right? I firmly believe that we can be taught just about any skill that's necessary for a job, right? Now, of course, there are some jobs that require you to, this is why you have minimum qualifications, right? If you want to be a software developer, you pretty much so need to know those skills to become a software developer. But you cannot be taught, in my opinion, or it's hard to teach somebody the softer skills like resiliency or gratitude or hard work ethic, all of these things, right? And that's where LinkedIn comes to play. And that's why LinkedIn is so powerful and so popular. I was talking to a VP of this organization that his company places about 3,000 people into jobs throughout the country. And he told me that when he meets with executives and he meets with hiring teams, the number one thing that they're looking for, or they're really looking for two things. They're looking for attitude and aptitude. And that's why LinkedIn is so powerful. And that's why so many people go to LinkedIn, is because they're trying to figure out who is the real person that I'm interviewing? Who is this person that's coming to the table? And that is why your profile, in my opinion, needs to be a lot different than what most people think. What most people think is like, I've got a resume, I'm going to upload my resume, and I'm going to fluff it up a little bit, and then I'm good to go. And I'm here to tell you that that is like the barrier to entry, like that is the bare minimum. But I'm pretty sure all of you on this call are looking and trying to get the best possible job out there. You want the best job, the best compensation, the best benefits, and you deserve that. You're working very, very hard at an excellent college, university. Of course, I'm a little bit biased, but we all know that you all are working very hard, and USC has got clout. And so you want to go to a very good institution after you graduate. But that means you're going to be competing against a lot of other people. I firmly believe there's never really been more opportunity than there is today, but there's never really been more competition than there is today. How do you differentiate yourself? Today, we're going to talk about that, using LinkedIn to tell your story, not just your job history, your story. And when you start telling your story, you start separating yourself from everybody else out there. Everybody else out there that's just doing the bare minimum, that's just putting their resume up there. And again, that's not really your fault. That's how we started. And we have, we're owned by Microsoft. And so, you can pre-populate your profile with the Word document. So it makes it really easy. But what we want to do now, and Evelyn looks like she made it, yay, we're gonna start talking about the profile for the next half hour. I really want to make this about you all, so please ask questions when you're doing this, but let's think about how we can be creative with our profile. And with that, Evelyn, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello, yes, I can hear you. Still
Okay.
having some technical difficulties turning on the video, but I can hear you and I think you can hear me, so that's good news.
Yes, we can. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. If you want to introduce yourself real quickly, and then let's jump into the profile, and we'll go from there.
All right. Hello, everyone. I was a business admin major at USC Marshall, and I graduated recently in December of 2021. And so since then, I've been at LinkedIn for a year now as part of the business leadership program, which has allowed me to try multiple roles on multiple teams. And I'm currently a project manager. So that's a little bit about me. I'm super excited to be here. I was exactly in your shoes just a few years ago. It's actually how Ryan and I met, was through a workshop very similar to this one that I had attended as a freshman. And so totally empathize with where you all are at. For some context, when I was joining this meeting, I had no idea what to expect. I remember having like a super basic profile and not really knowing what was going to come out of the session, but I learned a lot and took away some really actionable items from the session. So hope you all are able to do the same today. And so I'll hand it back to Ryan to talk a little bit about why you should be on LinkedIn.
Oh, no, we're good. We're good. We covered that while you were while you were jumping in, Evelyn. It's your turn. So if you want to share your screen and jump into your profile, let's go ahead and do that.
All right, perfect. Let me see.
Oh, there we go. Now we can see you.
Now.
All right. Can you share your screen?
Yep.
I'll let you know when we see it. Okay, we see it.
You see it?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So Ryan mentioned this already, but hold on, let me try that one more time. All right, so Ryan mentioned a little bit about why your profile is important. I just want to reiterate, it really is a place for you to communicate your professional brand that differs from a resume because your resume provides the overview of your accomplishments, but your profile allows you to tell your personality and who you are and gives you room for greater detail through photos, videos, descriptions. And so I want to start by walking us through my profile to kind of think about different aspects that you can think about on your profile. And we'll start with this top widget over here. So the first thing that you would want to have is your photo. The photo helps you build credibility with others, but it doesn't need to be a perfect or professionally shot photo. Just choose something recent that shows kind of who you are. And when you upload it, there's a way you can enhance it with our filters as well. And so now I have a photo that was taken for LinkedIn, but before this photo, I had an iPhone photo as well. And LinkedIn has some filters. You can edit your photo and then add those filters to try and put some different lighting on it and help it look a little bit more professionally shot if it's from an iPhone as well, and that will totally work. And you also will want to have a background photo, which is what I have up here. Examples might be a place that's meaningful to you. I've also seen someone do a word cloud of skills that they had, and I thought that was a really cool way to utilize that space right at the top of their profile. And you can also maybe do a custom image with your name and your contact information. And there's also a bunch of banners that you can choose from as well. And so if
Hey, Evelyn. Oh, let's
I can
do
do that.
a couple zooms.
Let's see.
And let's do a couple. There you go. Perfect. Thank
Better?
you. Yeah.
Okay. So if we change our photo from here, oops, this one. There's a bunch of options that you can choose from as well. And so you'll want to utilize that space right at the top of the profile to put in another piece of information about you. And so moving on to the location, that's over here. You'll want to fill that in as well, because especially as you're searching for internships or maybe even your full-time role, what your location is will help recruiters in your area be able to contact you. And so the next thing and last thing I want to talk about in this widget is the open to button. So this will adjust your settings if you're open to looking for an internship or a job, or you want to offer your services. So if I click open to, you can see that there's these different options for me, and that will help kind of target or orient what I want to do with my profile. And so if I were looking for work, I could click that and kind of fill in this information about me, and also be able to choose who sees this information. And so if I want all the members to see this, then I'll get this green banner on my photo that says open to work. And this might be a good setting to have if you're looking for a summer internship or a full-time job. Or you can also set it to recruiters only, and then only recruiters would be able to see this. And so I wanted to point that out since that might be something that's kind of useful as summer rolls around and we're looking for work. And then with that, I'll hand it over to Ryan. Do you have anything to add to any of kind of the tips that we've just gone over?
No, that is that's a really good overview. I mean, I think that you try to I kind of want you to try to think about being creative and compelling, right? So that's really what you want to think about is how do you give this hiring manager, this person that doesn't know you, a better understanding of who you are, right? We're not going to go into this today. We're going to have a couple more workshops down the road about growing your network and putting content on LinkedIn. But think about LinkedIn as social media, right? And if you're trying to grow your network, or think about yourself and you're on social media, what's the first thing you do when somebody tries to follow you and you don't know, you're private and you don't know who they are? You probably check out their profile, right? So what you want to do is you want to make your profile as compelling and as authentic as possible, and it starts with what Evelyn's talking about. Real quickly, we do have a question in the chat about or Q&A about how you create your profile, sharing internships, if the internships are 1 to 2 weeks long or 3 to 6 weeks long and they're not paid for your internships. I believe firmly that you should put those internships, even if they're not paid, in your experience section. We can talk a little bit more about that. Evelyn's going to go into the experience section as well. And we also have a question, where is the open to work section on LinkedIn? So can you go through that again real quickly, Evelyn?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're at the top widget where your photos are, and right below it, there's an open to button where you can choose whether you want to find a new job, provide services, or if you're hiring. So all right at the top of your profile.
Yeah, so you should be able to do this when you're in your own profile section.
Yes, in your own profile section. All right.
Should I accept all the connection requests I get people that I don't know? What do you think about that one, Evelyn?
Personally, I don't accept all the personal requests from people that I don't know. I like to keep my network in people who I've met, people who I've talked to at least once, or someone who has a reason to connect with me. But I've also heard different things around this. Some people like to accept everyone that they get so that they can expand their network as much as possible. I do see that as being a big plus for visibility. I think it's just personal preference.
Yeah, for me, I accept just about everybody. Again, it is your network. It's you get to decide what you want to do. We eliminate 99% of fake profiles. We are doing our best to eliminate harassment and bullying. So if you're worried about that, you should worry about that a lot less on LinkedIn, but it is not a perfect platform. Remember, you never know who you're connected to and who they're connected to. So I think it's a better idea to have a larger network. But once you're in seat, once you have a job that you love, you can definitely be a little bit more particular about it. Another question, what kind of experience is acceptable to put down in a profile? What about servicing job experience that aren't necessarily direct to connect to my work field? Bia, I'm actually going to show you an example of that. You definitely should put that in there. Put all your work experience, and we'll talk a little bit about how you frame corporate work, right? I'll show you how to frame that. You definitely want to put that in there. We have a couple of other questions here. Is there a project section on LinkedIn? Yeah, there is. Evelyn, can you show them where they can add a project to their profile?
Yeah, so we'll actually be talking about this in a little bit. So maybe we table that one until we get to the featured section. Does that work for you, Ryan?
Love it. Yep, let's do that. Go ahead and jump in, and then I'll answer some more questions as we go along. So go on to your next section there, Evelyn.
Perfect. So let's talk about the about section, because this is a really important section to telling your story. So this is an opportunity for you to provide a glimpse of who you are. And you can think of it as your personal elevator pitch, where you want to describe what you do and what your strengths are. And there's a number of ways to approach this about section, and we'll just talk about 2 of them today. And so that first way would be to tell a story about who you are. Maybe think about an impactful moment or even a series of events in your life and tell it in a few paragraphs to show who you are. And so my example is one of this. One of, I think, the defining moments in my career was how I got my first role when I was in high school. I had searched through a list of stores near my local downtown and called each one asking if they had job openings, and then went through the process of submitting my resume, going through the interviews. And I think that that's representative of having drive and self-motivation and curiosity to learn. And so that's why I use that as my kind of one moment that I wanted to highlight to tell a story about who I am. And at least I hope that that kind of leaves a very memorable impression of that motivation, rather than saying, I think I'm self-motivated and driven. And so that's one approach would be to tell a story. And Ryan has a number of stellar examples of people telling their stories in their about section. But if you can't think of a story to share right away, that is perfectly fine too. And a good practice would be to include maybe 1 or 2 sentences about who you are, and then another 3 to 5 sentences on your experience, your skills, maybe a key passion you have, and then you can finish off the about section with 1 to 2 sentences about your future goals and how other members can engage with you on the platform. And so 2 different approaches to your about section, both will kind of shine a light on your personality, on who you are, and give you some room to kind of be creative and showcase kind of beyond your resume who you are. Ryan, do you have any examples that you want to pull up at this time, or you want to keep moving through questions?
Yeah, why don't we do that real quickly? Let's just jump and if you don't mind, stop sharing and then I'll share my screen real quickly.
Yes, I can do that.
All right, let me show my screen here. And I want to just jump into a couple of different profiles here. So the first profile I want to show you is Tammy's. So Tammy is a graduate from SC a few years ago. You'll notice her headline right here says new grad aiming to tell stories through technology. Again, thinking about this more creatively. How do I actually tell a story and let people know where I want to go, what I want to do? The headline is a great way to start that. So let's look at her profile here real quickly. And I want to just show you her about section. So in the about section right here, she starts with, when I was 7, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more so everybody can see. She says, when I was 7, Harry Potter taught me English when I first immigrated to the Bay Area. She talks about being a passionate learner and jumping into teaching herself English and becoming obsessed with the way stories are told and how they connect people from all backgrounds. She also goes on to say, I want to connect individuals to something bigger than themselves, the way Harry Potter colored my world with magic and taught me the basis I need to achieve the American dream. The reason I love this profile, this about section, it's for a couple of reasons. One, I love the fact that she owns that she is an immigrant. I love the fact that she talks about why she's passionate about marketing, right? Why is she passionate about marketing in the entertainment space, in the entertainment vertical? Like her goal was to work for a large entertainment studio doing digital marketing. As everybody on this Zoom session knows, that is going to be a very difficult job to get. A lot of people want that job. Every company that is out there is looking for the right type of person. And by saying, I'm passionate about X, Y, or Z, anybody can say that. The real question is why? What motivates you? Why are you motivated that way? What is your story? And for somebody like me who's way older than you, right? Companies are going to be more concerned with my work experience. They want to know this, but they're really going to be concerned with my work experience because I'm more of a senior, obviously a senior in my role. I have more work experience to fall back on. You don't. As a young person, you don't. And so you have to fall back on your personality. What makes you unique and different? And this is really, really important. And I want you to know that, this helped. I don't know if it helped her, but the bottom line is the first job, or the job she got out of college is to work at Disney, doing the job of her dreams. And that Disney looked at this before they interviewed her. That's just a fact. Let me show you one other one. This is Rachel. Rachel's a current student at USC as well. And she went a little bit lighter with her about section. And here she talks about every inch and corner of my childhood room was filled with Legos. She talks about picking up the blocks, construct anything that came to mind, 3-story houses. She talks about how that fascination, it allows her to bring her imagination to life. And then how she brought these skills to various marketing and publicity roles and internships. And this caught the eye of a recruiter. And now she's an incoming PM at Microsoft. There's a direct correlation in a lot of the people that I coach and a lot of the people that I've seen on LinkedIn to the more open and authentic you are, the more people are going to gravitate to your profile. And that's really what it's about. It's about telling your story so that people will want to get to know you a little bit better. Even if you maybe don't have, forgive me for doing air quotes, but the right skills, right? Because it's not necessarily about that. Especially younger in your career, earlier in your career, you're always going to be consistently learning. You're going to be growing and learning. So you want to show that is the type of person that you are. So I had a question in the chat I thought was a really good one about, you're in between you're where you want to go and where you are today, right? So in this case, it's like you haven't quite gotten the certification you need to be able to be hired. This is where LinkedIn allows you to tell that. And tell the hiring manager and craft that. I often get asked or back in the day, I used to get asked this all the time where people really wanted to be private. First of all, I think privacy is no longer real in this day and age. And the reason for that is because now you never know who's taking a picture of you or who's posted on either IG or Facebook or whatever, Snap. So there's your image is out there already. What LinkedIn allows you to do, it allows you to say, this is who I am personally and professionally. Like this is the real me you get when I'm going to work for a company. And you can't say that again. I don't want to belabor the point, but you cannot do this on a resume. You literally can't put your picture on a resume. You can't do any of that stuff, right? So what LinkedIn allows you to do is it allows you to be fully creative and fully authentic with the profile that you put out there. And we're focusing on this about section because it is probably the most important thing outside of your experience, which your experience is what it is, right? Your about section allows the reader to be able to get to know you pretty quickly. So those are a couple of other examples. And then I'm going to pass it back to you, Evelyn, and let you do your thing. I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, I said new share. I need to stop share and let you go ahead and jump into the next section. Okay.
All right. So we talked about your profile photo. We talked about your settings. We talked about the about section. Now let's dive into some of the experience. And so if you had a job or internship, and we mentioned that this encompasses all kinds of roles, a job that you had that you learned from, including non-corporate roles as well, this is the place to write about it. And so you can enter the company, the title, and write about projects you've worked on, accomplishments you've had, and the value that you brought to the team and to the org. And so the great thing about LinkedIn is that you can really tailor how you share about the experience to fit your needs. If writing full sentences or a paragraph about what you do is intimidating for you, like it was for me, then start with bullet points. That was where I started from. And I just want to emphasize that bullet points are okay. They're fine as a starting point, and it's fine to have there as well, especially if you have a number of experiences and it kind of shortens what you're looking at. Like for me right now, I'm in a rotational program. And so I've done a lot of things across many different teams. And so bullet points are a great format for me to quickly and concisely show what I've done. But if you want to write about reflections of what you learned and the value you brought to the team, that is great too. And I actually have that in some of my previous experiences as well. I have a couple bullet points and then a short section about what I learned and why I kind of enjoy doing that. And so there's different ways that you can approach this experience section, whether it's just short bullets about what you've done, paragraphs with reflections, or maybe a combination of both, as long as you kind of show the value that you added to the team and kind of why you have that experience listed there. Those are like all great ways to approach it. And you can also add any medias, photos, links to really bring your experience to life. For example, I previously was working in marketing, and so I created a lot of customer-facing assets like videos, infographics, and then I could link them directly here as kind of showcasing of my work. Ryan, I know you have a couple examples of other ways that people have structured their experience section, especially focusing on maybe some of those non-corporate roles. Did you want to share those now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
All right.
We'll bounce back and forth here, everybody. So let me just share my screen and boom. All right, so I want to introduce you to Chelsea. So Chelsea and I met through, what in the world? What is happening here? I know she exists. There we go. Chelsea and I met through the School of Business mentoring program. And so we talked a lot about how she could frame her work experience. And so one of the things that really is important to me, again, is to have a narrative throughout your profile. Remember how we talked about at the very beginning what LinkedIn's biggest revenue sources, which is our talent module. It's the thing that recruiters use to find you. We just updated this new feature about 3 months ago, and it is very important that you know this. One of the most common things that a recruiter searches for when they're trying to find talent is they search for, does this person have this XYZ skill? Communication skill, for example, is one of the most popular. Back in the day, right, you'd have to put that in this skill section, which Evelyn will cover in a minute or two. And that was the only place it searched. Now it searches the entire profile. Every single word will search for that skill. And so it's bringing in a lot more people that actually have these skills. And so when you write more information in your experience section, you give yourself an opportunity to have people see your profile more often. And so, for example, I want to show you how she took this NBC Universal internship. And she's like, I interned at NBC Universal in hopes of gaining exposure in the entertainment industry. Here's why I wanted to work there. It's got a strong company culture. It's focused on DE&I, ERGs, right? After working there, I fell in love with the fast-paced collaborative environment. See how she frames this as a story? She talks about what she did during the internship, some of the projects she works on, what she learned. And then at the bottom, I love this. These are the skills that she learned. Boom, 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 boom. She did that for every one of hers. Really thinking about what is this place? Like, I don't know what Ashland Pacific is. She talks about what Ashland Pacific is. She lets the reader know this is what the company does. For those of you that talked about your internships, talk about why you wanted the internship. What did you learn at the internship? How much fun did you have at the internship? See how this starts telling a story about who you are personally? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking nobody reads all of your resume or your LinkedIn profile. You're right. Most people are going to read every word, but trust me when I tell you. I mean, if somebody looks at this profile, they're certainly not going to think that Chelsea is lazy. They're not. They're going to be impressed by her level of work ethic. Again, you don't have to say I'm a hard worker. You're showing it by taking a little bit of time and elaborating on your work experience, because you probably don't have 20 or 30 bullet points because you're young. If you're a server or a barista, that question was asked earlier, and I'm going to show you another profile. And this person doesn't go to USC, but she has a great profile. I love this background photo, and I love this open to learn and innovate. I think it's amazing. But I show hers because here she shows what she did at Starbucks as a barista and here as a server. Really powerful. Here's what I created: connections with my regulars. You know, what I learned from this position is XYZ, right? We relied on word of mouth. This can only help you. And all of your experience is important experience. So this is how these are a couple of ways for you to think about framing your experience and talking about your experience so you can share it with others. Back to you, Evelyn.
Yeah, one really great question that I saw was, should the experience section content be different from my resume? And I think that we just kind of covered it. The answer is yes. There's a lot more room for you to expand on kind of your reflections and what you learned versus that couple bullet points of highlight. And so it could bring in elements of your resume, but also has room to add a lot more. And so that's kind of what Ryan and I were trying to showcase just now. So great question.
Yeah, it should be chronologically the same as your resume, but it should have a lot more information than your resume, for sure.
I'm not sure I understand.
And Siri's yelling at me.
All right, so under education, you'll want to be sure where you include where you went to school and what you studied. And you can also include organizations you were in. And a fun fact is that people who list these details get up to 11 times more profile views. Under honors and awards, this kind of goes hand in hand with education. So I'm going to skip a couple and kind of move down here. This is kind of where you can mention some of the awards or the scholarships that you have and kind of detail them. So just wanted to point out that section since it lives at the very bottom and oftentimes can maybe be skipped over. And then with this theme of learning, there's also a section for licenses and certifications. And this is where you can include supplemental online trainings or certifications that you may have taken. So for example, while I was at USC, I attained a social media marketing certification from HubSpot from one of my classes. And then this is where I added it to kind of show off that I had that certification here. And so this section also becomes an area that you can think about when it comes to recruiting. So with your USC email, you have access to LinkedIn Learning, and LinkedIn Learning has a huge library of resources and courses. And so you can access it directly from LinkedIn. If I go under work and I go to learning, it'll bring me to my LinkedIn Learning portal. And so this was my USC account. We can try and, oh, no, it's going to make me log in, but it would have taken you to the portal and there would be recommended courses. And you can also look up courses that you would be interested in taking. And I highly recommend, there's so much content on it. I've been able to pretty much find a course on any kind of skill or topic that I've wanted to access. And so you can explore courses that are recommended for you, or also maybe take a more active approach in thinking about what skill gaps you might have. So for example, maybe I'm interested in marketing, but I don't have a lot of experience with digital marketing. You can take a course or a whole learning path on digital marketing. And then after that, add it to your profile. So have it under the licenses and certifications. And one helpful way to think about skill gaps might be to look at the job descriptions or the roles and responsibilities of an ideal internship or an ideal job, and then think about what experience you have and what you need to foster. And then once you have it on this section of your profile, this again becomes something that you can talk about and something that recruiters will see that's on your profile. And so wanted to call out that skills and experience kind of section. Ryan,
Love
anything you wanted to add before we go on to skills?
No, that's great. We did have one question. I think it's a great question, which is, what if you have a job gap? You're a mother, you've spent time away from the workforce, you're coming back to the workforce, or maybe you were injured, or you took a career break. So can you show them where we have the new feature we have for career break?
Yes. So if we go under experiences and we click the plus sign over here, you can add a career break. And so this will allow you to select a lot of different types of career breaks and write in the description about kind of whatever you want to share about it, much like if it were any other experience.
Yeah, and this is an excellent question because LinkedIn believes firmly that we shouldn't have to work every single day of our lives, right? And so there are times when you need a gap year, or to take some time, or if you are a young mother and you want to take care of your kids, there's nothing wrong with that. And that should be noted. So here you go. This is a great way for you to put that you took some time for yourself, why you took some time for yourself, and again, telling a story with it. So I hope that helps. Sarah, one of the questions was about accessing the Zoom recording later. I'm sure is that just going to be sent to everybody or made public? Where can people find that?
Yes, so we will be posting this recording on our Career Center YouTube page.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question is, what is the difference between followers and connections? That's a good question. As long as you're public, which most everybody is a public profile, a follower is a one-way street. So if I want to follow Evelyn, I would just follow her, and then I get to see all of the stuff, the content that she posts. If she posts content, it'll go in my feed. I can see it. I can comment on it. What I cannot do is I cannot message her more than 5 times in a month. That's the maximum you can do without it, a premium. So basically, you cannot message her. If I connect with her, it's a two-way street. That means that she sees what I post, I see what she posts, and now we're connected. And if she wants to message me, she can message me as often as she wants. I can message her. That is the difference between a connection and a follow. I firmly believe you should be following a lot of influencers, thought leaders, recruiters, hiring managers, people doing the job that you want if they haven't connected with you. But I also think, and this is for a later time, you should grow your network and be connecting with as many people as you possibly can, because the more the better.
Yeah, and here's a trick. So over here, if I weren't on my own profile, if I were on somebody else's profile, this button over here would either be to connect or to follow. Sometimes you'll only see the follow button depending on the setting of the person you're trying to connect with. But if you click more over here, then you would be able to kind of connect with them. And so even if there's only that follow option kind of listed up front, you can still find the connect button to make that two-way street connection versus just following them.
Yep. Okay, we have a couple more questions, so I want to kind of go through those to make sure we get to them before the end. Is that cool, Evelyn?
Yeah, totally fine.
Awesome. And I think I'd love your take on this. One of the questions is can you include your thesis work in your experience? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that would be great to include your thesis work in your experience. I also think maybe like a better place for it would be, depending on the format of your thesis, maybe you could include it as one of like your featured kind of prominent things. So you can add a post, or you can add a newsletter or an article or a link. And then that would be a great place to house the thesis, as well as to write maybe something about it. 100%. And so this is one of the sections that I was going to talk about as well. This featured section does help you build your brand as well. And you can decide on kind of what content you want to curate here. Since it's right at the top of your page, it's easy for someone to see when they view your profile, and it helps show what you care about and what your voice is. And so your thesis would be like, this would be the perfect place for it, would be to write about it, you can even like link it out maybe, or have like, if you had a presentation about it, be able to include that. And know that you don't have to be an industry expert to post content and to feature it. You can post about whatever you learned in class, reflections you have, your thoughts on something else, and be able to feature it. So wanted to highlight this section, and this would be a great place for your thesis.
Awesome. We have a lot of questions, so we're going to try to get to these as quickly as we can. One of the questions is, should I put a job like cashier and more work experience? Absolutely. You learn a lot from being a cashier. I 100% think that you should put that in there. Again, elaborate on it. Why? What did you learn? If you're a grad student making a career transition, your headline should be about where you want to go. That's what I would think. It should be aspirational. Where do you want to go? What's another one? I've been working at 2 college years. I have a side job. Let's see. Can you see the questions, Evelyn?
I can. And so I can actually take that one.
Go take it.
I think if you have a career transition, a great place to write about it would be your about section. On your resume, you may not have the room to elaborate on what you did, where you want to go, and how to bridge that. The about section is a great place to write about all of the above. What you did, kind of what you're looking to do, why you're looking to do that, and kind of what qualifications you have to really flesh out that story.
Cool. Let's do every other question. So I'll get the next one and you get the one after that. So you're involved in nonprofits, but you should put those all in the experience section. We don't have anything separate out for nonprofits, but I feel like that is an experience, and that's something that you can really elaborate on, and it should be in the experience section 100%. You get the next one?
All right, so a question about describing your services, looking for an internship as a composer's assistant in a recording studio, and the closest thing is sound design. And so in general, I don't know a lot about exactly what's on the open to work section and what kind of you're looking for, but I think a great place, if you can elaborate on it, would be one in your like headline. If you can write a couple maybe words about what you're looking to do, that would be a place where you can customize it. Or in your about section, you can also write more details about what you're looking to do if it's not an option in the drop down in the open to.
Yep. Should I mention projects that are not related to the job? I think if it's showing skills that you learned, yes, 100%. If you can, again, it's all about the skills that you put on there and the experience that you have. And that experience does not have to be just tied to a job. It can be related to projects, even if it's a different type, because you learn different skills. So yeah, 100%.
If I don't have experience or matched area experience, could I put project information or just leave it blank? Ryan, I'm actually going to pass this one to you. Project experience, do you think would be best in post format and experience format? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you have it, could I put project information and experience? I would probably put that as a post, and I like Evelyn's idea of putting projects in in your featured section. That's actually, by the way, Tammy put a ton of her projects. She had a ton of marketing projects. She put a ton of projects before she got hired in her featured section. So when she was getting the interview, before the interview, they could go in and see a lot of the marketing projects that she did, and she got hired. So I love it. We just have a couple minutes left. We'll try to get to the rest of them. What I'm going to do, by the way, is post. How can we do this? If you all can't see the chat, basically, feel free to connect with me and ask me questions is what I'm going to say. So you can hit me up anytime. Evelyn, I don't know about you, but we're here to answer questions. The same. Yeah, so I'm the only Ryan Zervakos out there. So if we're going to drop that in there so everybody can connect with us, feel free to connect. Recruiters only spend 10 seconds looking at your resume. Do you really need to stand out? Yep, I agree. Should I put my research systems experience under work experience? Yes, I think so, 100%.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, go ahead. You want to answer Vanessa's?
Sure. Would it be better to write less than that? How much time to really read? I think how much you write, again, depends on case by case. You can keep it clear and concise, couple bullet points. You can write one sentence reflection. I've seen it done really well sometimes. Or if you have a story, you can write more. It's kind of up to the scenario.
What was it again that gets your profile viewed 11 more times, 11 times more likely? What did you say? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was if you fill in your education.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Education experience has to be in there. LinkedIn offers certifications. Yes, we do through LinkedIn Learning now. You have LinkedIn Learning at USC. If you're a current USC student, you have access to it. You can go through LinkedIn Learning, get some certifications. We are at the top of the hour. Yeah, courses are free. Let's answer just one more. I'll get one and you get Michelle. So how many LinkedIn do you recommend using your personal or US email? Use your personal email. I would not use your USC email on LinkedIn. Really good question.
What recommendations would you give to someone switching industries, most experience in healthcare, one in entertainment? Definitely the about section where you can write about kind of what you've done, where you're going, and kind of what unique background being in that one industry gives you to kind of join the other.
Yeah, there's one other question I need to answer here. We do not recommend you have two different profiles. One profile, personal email. If you want to add your USC email, great, but one profile is it. All right. I hope this was great for you all. Thank you all so much for your questions. Evelyn, I don't know how you want to wrap it up, but this was an awesome experience for me.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah,
Thank you all for your great questions.
Thank you so much, Brian and Evelyn, for your time today. And thank you everyone for joining and participating in this workshop. We hope to see you at our next LinkedIn networking workshop on February 22nd at 12 p.m. But for now, take care, everyone, and fight on.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. Thanks, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.